Okay, you're sitting on a pristine white sand beach, waves rolling in, crystal clear blue water as far as the eye can see.
And suddenly your bank account is $15,000 lighter.
Yikes, that took a turn, but you're not wrong.
Look, I'm not saying Turks and Caicos isn't worth it. There's just a right and wrong way to do it.
So today, we're breaking down the real Turks, the private spots, the hidden costs, where celebrities actually stay, and what's actually worth the hype. Welcome to the Upgrade Edit, where luxury travel meets culture, current events, and the unfiltered conversations you won't hear anywhere else. I'm Fed.
And I'm Sierra, and today we are going to dive into our mostly requested destination, Turks and Caicos. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to say this nicely, but a lot of the content out there on the gram about Turks is kind of...
completely useless.
If you ask me. It's all about filters and getting the best flick and being at the places you spotted Drake at. And I think there's more that we need to talk about.
Right. I feel like it's all beautiful beaches where the water's so blue. Like, thanks.
Not the Beyoncé track in the back.
No, literally. Thank you for nothing. Like, today we're going to give you the real inside intel, the stuff that's going to save you thousands of dollars and transform your experience. Because when you're going to somewhere like Turks, the last thing you want to do is spend all that money and have a terrible time.
And I'm seeing it too often, and it's really breaking my heart. I mean, a lot of people that aren't doing it the right way, like Fed just said, are paying way too much, and it's just not worth it. I mean, if it's a budget trip, fine, whatever, didn't go as planned. But if you're paying thousands of dollars, you want it to be right.
Exactly. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly what's worth it for you, which parts of the island to stay on, the hidden costs that nobody's really talking about, and how to have an actual exclusive experience that makes Turks what it's famous for.
And now some people are even comparing it to St. Bart's. So we're going to get into that as well and other common comparisons. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and join us in the convo.
Let's get into some tea. So I got to ask, like, why is everyone so obsessed with Turks? Like, I feel like everywhere we go, we're seeing Lori Harvey, Beyoncé, Drake, Kendall Jenner, like Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber, Bella Hadid. Everyone's in Turks. What's going on?
I really think it's the Drake effect, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like I remember before I was an advisor, before I knew about like the full spiel, the real spiel about Turks, I went on a cruise. It was just like a one-stop thing. And the beaches were beautiful. I'm not going to lie. But I just didn't really see the appeal for it. I didn't know if it was because I was underage, so I couldn't really party like that. Yeah. But I don't really get it. But I really think it's the Drake effect.
No, it's totally the Drake effect. I mean, you're absolutely right. I feel like for so long, Turks kind of got this rep of being like where people go on their honeymoons or like, you know, you're
like
older.
Another St. Lucia.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a honeymoon Caribbean island where a lot of like people who just got married go, or older folks who are taking, not older folks, but you know, you're older, more age. Have to, you think of that demographic, that older couple that's going on their annual vacation or their little winter getaway to the Caribbean, because you need to have a lot of money to go. So people are either splurging on their honeymoon, or you're talking about an older demographic that's going to Turks because they can afford it.
But now with the content creation economy, or younger people getting to the bag, which I love to see, you're seeing younger people exploring Turks in a different way, where I know it's still not a party scene, but I think there's more to do that's adjacent to nightlife. And again, it's about that flick that they want, that's somewhat similar to what I hear the floating restaurant pic that Drake did that went viral. And I think that's where the craze started. I'm also trying to figure out what woman he keeps referencing.
She please do not name yourself.
Don't, please.
Do not name right yourself. Like, whoever this girl is that has Drake on Turks, like, shout out to you, because you've single-handedly carried this economy. and really put Turks on the map. And I don't want to give it all to Drake because you know what? Beyonce went there last year too. Our Queen Bey definitely has got people really trying to go out there. You have the Drake effect, you have the Beyonce effect, which is great for high-end tourism, but with high-end tourism comes driving up the costs for everyone else.
Locals and other tourists. And I feel like the Beyonce effect, we're really lucky if she tags the location. Like we never really know where she's at. So.
Well, we might be able to give them some insider tips on that. But in all seriousness though, like as high-end as Turks is becoming, especially being such a celebrity hotspot, it's really like that low-key place. St. Bart's is where you go to party, you're going to flash your money, you're going to dance on the tables and do the things, the St. Bart's things. But Turks and Caicos is really becoming that like quiet luxury St. Bart's where celebrities and people who have it to spend want to go, but they're really doing it in a more low-key way. And that's causing a lot of luxury developments, which we'll talk about, some new and exciting, fun hotels that have opened up and will be opening up in Turks. But it also means less access to beachfronts and some of the amenities of the island that local residents are just getting priced out of. Yeah.
And do you think that they're, in this case, because it's only the beginning stages of it and it's become popular in the past maybe 1 to 2 years, is there a solution that you think governments can attempt to do? I know that there are a lot of hidden costs, which kind of discourage certain travelers from going, but are there other solutions that you've seen local governments do to kind of manage tourism?
I think with a destination like Turks, you really just need to know what you're getting yourself into, right? You're going to Turks, let's be honest, your pocket's going to come back very light. Yeah. Very, very light. Bank account's going to be on emp when you come back because this is
$15K gone.
This is a luxury destination, but that's why it's so important to have the understanding of why would you pick an island like this and what you're going to get out of it, because ultimately it's here to stay, right? These celebrities have the veil has been lifted. We all know that Turks is now on the map. You have so many more flights now from New York, Miami, even London, going direct
straight there
to Turks.
Yeah.
And so the money's flowing with it. And I think some of the interesting conversations that are being had right now, and as responsible tourists or just people who really want to be culturally aware of the impact that they're having, is understanding that the more tourism this brings to the island, the less access locals continue to have. And this is a conversation we've had before. It's all over the Caribbean. The more luxury properties get built, they own the beachfront, which means locals don't even have access to their own beaches. And Turks isn't immune to that. This is something that is really becoming a big conversation, that these local islands are becoming hotspots for people with money who can come and rent a villa, stay at the Aman, stay at the St. Regis and all these really nice places, and drive up the cost of even just going out to a restaurant now in Turks is no less than $100 per person.
And then that's if you're getting like small bites, pasta, salads, light. When we get into the steaks, when we get into the seafood, twice, 3 times as much.
And these are the same restaurants that locals are dining at. And so really just understanding the effect of what this type of tourism has on the industry. But then it's that double-edged sword, right? Because Turks doesn't have direct taxation, which sounds like it's great in theory, but it really just means that the cost of everything is really expensive because they're importing. They're importing a lot. There's a service charge that's added to everything and a value-added tax, and that's not just for tourists. That's everyone. Anything you buy at the store has that service charge, has that tax on it, and so locals are also paying that price for some of the things that a richer clientele might be able to go and just, swipe their card
Splurge easily.
Everyone's paying those prices. So it's just a really interesting conversation right now to have, how some of these Caribbean islands are handling just everything going up because they're becoming luxury really hotspots.
Right. And while they're becoming hotspots, a lot of these towns and governments depend on tourism. So unfortunately, they go to the side of the people with the money and the people that are spending, because what else are they going to do? A lot of the locals actually work within these hotels and restaurants. It's very unfortunate, but it's just something to be aware of. And also for tourists, we said $15K gone, but we just want to let y'all know you have to pay to leave. So make sure you budget that in.
Yes.
Don't fall out, max out cards, and you have no money on the last day of the trip. And then at the airport, they're like,
ma'am,
departure fee. So just
a lot of people don't know that. Everybody takes these cute crystal clear blue kayak pics and
clear boat. I see y'all with the photographers in the ocean,
the drone footage and all of that. But Turks is one of those countries where, in some countries where you have a visa on arrival where you have to pay a fee to get into the country, Turks is the opposite, where you actually have to pay to leave. So like Sierra said, don't max out that card because ma'am, they're gonna charge you to leave and go somewhere else if you're returning home. It's just one of those things that is a little bit different. And something else that we wanted to talk about is Turks is actually, fun fact, still one of the few Caribbean islands left that is still a British constituency. So they are not an independent country, actually. I found that out very recently. They're still a British protectorate, but strangely enough, they use the US dollar. It's kind of like British Virgin Islands where it's a British protectorate, but they use the US dollar.
Because the pound is stronger.
Yeah. But they use the US dollar out there, so very convenient for American travelers who are going, just so you know that you don't have to worry about converting your money or having that credit card conversion fee. Everything is priced in US dollars, but it's a British protectorate. So they drive on the other side of the road. And
get a private driver. Driving, let me tell you, driving in the Caribbean it's different. They drive faster. There's curvier roads. Like if you are an ANSI driver in the States, don't even try it in the Caribbean. I know a lot of people are like, okay, renting a car may be better if I'm budgeting for all these villas and these expensive excursions and restaurants. Let me rent a car. No. Make sure you have a private driver with your advisor to figure out like which supplier is best for you, because you don't want it's very confusing. It's very confusing. I still remember my days in London, like when we hit certain turns, I'm like, because I'm just not used to the other side of the road. But another thing, what we were saying in the beginning of people not doing Turks right, I think a lot of people go to show off, but it's not a show off island. There's no paparazzi. You won't see photographers at every other restaurant or club. So how do you think here we can share or like advise people if you go, you're not going to be caught with all the cameras with all the celebrities?
The only camera you're going to get caught with is the camera you bring for yourself.
Okay.
So if you want to get the flicks and flex in your designer and show off that you're in Turks, great. But you're just going to be surrounded by everyone else who has the same thing. It's not really like impressive to be flashy and have all that in Turks, because everyone who's going there has money. And if you don't have money, listen up, because this episode is for you.
And it's just not going to end well. And it's really a place where a lot of affluent people go to hide out and go for a peace of mind. It's not, they have nightlife, of course, like I was saying, with the boom, they are being more accommodating and they have things to do at night, of course, but it's not bottle girls, confetti.
It's not a party island.
It's definitely not a party island. So I think people should know that before they even book that flight. And
Definitely.
Correct and check your intentions. And then another thing I see, we talked about it before, a lot of developments are starting to pop up.
Oh, yeah. The luxury developments. I mean, the pandemic definitely, we all know what happened in the panorama. Everybody was stuck at home. It is what it is. We don't have to go back to that time. But since 2022, there's been such a massive boom of private villas, ultra luxury resorts. I mean, Turks went from being there for newlyweds to being like the ultimate big money getaway. And with that, there's so many new hotel openings. Like I can't even wrap my head around how many new stunning luxury properties are opening up in Turks.
And I think for first timers, Grace Bay is an area that a lot of people, not celebrities, but I think if it's your first time and you have the budget, that's where a lot of people stay, where you can still have luxury. There are a lot of spa resorts in that area. It's kind of considered the Beverly Hills of Turks, which I think is a conversion of like, that's your first time, that's where you should go. But there's so many other places that I think are a bit more hidden. We also have Parrot Cay.
Yeah, definitely. In Grace Bay, so the St. Regis Grace Bay actually just opened up this year, and it's absolutely stunning. Like, please immediately go on Instagram, check it out, check out their website. It's stunning. There's also South Bank in Provinciales that just opened up. It opened up late last year, actually, and it is stunning. It has its own marina. They even have villas there, all with direct water access. And they have like a swimming lagoon that you can go to. It's 5 acres of protected water life, which is something that's actually pretty rare to find in Turks. So definitely check out South Bank. It's nice, it's new, it's luxe, it's everything you think of when you think of Turks.
And also, I think you want to double check if your hotel is by private boat or by private transfer.
Yeah.
So a lot of these places, especially in the Pine area, you actually have to take a boat to get to your hotel. There's no other way of doing that. If you work with an advisor, that's definitely something that they would tell you. But I think it's just amazing to go from the airport straight to the boat to your hotel.
Yeah, it's stunning. And I think one of the quick tips that I would give anyone who's going to Turks is if the hotel or where you're staying at has the word Cay in it, you need a boat to get there. So Pine Cay, anywhere, Cooper Jack Bay, anything that ends in an A, you need a boat to get there. And so that's an added cost that a lot of these hotels will add. And it's so interesting, right? You pay all this money. I mean, we're talking sometimes thousands per night for some of these hotel room rates, and we'll get more into really how your pockets need to be set up to go to Turks. But on top of that, a lot of these hotels also charge after you get down the private transfer, and then you have to pay to get to the resort, because a lot of these luxury boat transfers, they ain't free.
No, they're not.
They're
They're
free.
not. So you have to accommodate how you're getting there, but then also for excursions, if you're doing any yachting, we're not even going to get into anchoring costs with that. So I think if you're working with an advisor, and what we're both saying is a place like Turks, you want to work with an advisor to really make sure you're spending the money, that you're getting a full package for your money. And they're also going to educate you on the things that you may not know, because no one wants to be airport bag in hand. You're trying to get everything together, and then it's surprise fees that you didn't even budget for. That is the worst. So definitely listen to us when we say get an advisor. And then we also have Long Bay Beach, which is more villas. And I want to get into the convo of when someone's considering a hotel, a villa, what's the difference for you? What do you prefer? And then I'll get into what I prefer.
No, let's get into it, because this is a hot take. Hotel versus villa, especially in the Caribbean. Okay, I feel like there's 2 ways to think about this, right?
Right.
Because there's the part where you're just going with your bae. We're talking vacation. It's just the two of you. I don't think you need a villa. That's me personally.
How secluded do y'all need to be?
Right?
Yeah.
It's just 2 people. I don't know that it makes sense to get a whole villa that includes staff. You got to get a chef. You're hiring cleaners. You need a driver, or at least if you're comfortable driving there, getting a car. You might be a little bit out of the way. I think if you're just going on a vacation, or if it's your first time, I highly, highly, highly recommend a hotel. But there's a time and place for a villa. Right. There is a time and place for a villa.
I definitely think if you have a group, whether it be family or a girls trip, villa is the way to go. Yeah. You don't have to worry about the logistics of planning breakfast or lunch or dinner. You have a chef there that will take care of you. And then you also, what I love the most is it could be drivers. It could be the folks that the hosts on the excursion. You now have local recommendations. That's what I love the most. And I know that we are focusing on luxury and the top places you'll see celebrities, but there's also a way to experience the luxury of just experiencing the local side of the island. Yeah. There's so much to give. So personally for me, I go on a lot of group trips. I love villas.
You're team villa?
I'm team villa.
I am team hotel.
You're team hotel?
I have to be. Listen, it's just me and my bae. We're just going on a trip.
Yeah.
I also think you know what? I will give you one thing about villas. I mean, you can have that one little thing.
One little thing.
I'm going to give you that one little thing, which is the privacy. I think if you have a group trip, you want to get ratchet with your girls. You're on a bachelorette trip, bachelor trip. Yeah. You want to be crazy, drink, play music all night, shake some butt.
You don't have to worry about any noise complaints. You don't have to worry about anybody at the pool looking at you like you're crazy. And just overall cost. Like, I think if you have a group of, I would say 6 to 8 people, you really want to consider a villa. No more Airbnb. No more Airbnb.
Yeah.
Consider
managed villas only.
Managed villas, because if there's an issue, I don't think people get it, like really analyze the whole situation. If you bump into an issue, you don't really have a support team or someone to help you right away in that moment. And again, if you have a group, that's more ways to divvy up the costs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the value is really worth it, especially if you can get a villa that has beach access and also a private pool. You're set.
You're totally set.
You're
No,
set.
actually, I think let's get into the upgrade list, because I really want people to walk away knowing exactly how to really navigate this destination and understand like where to stay and really understanding the out. So Turks, first of all, let's get something straight. Turks and Caicos is not just one island. It's an archipelago of over 40 islands and cays. So this isn't somewhere where you can start at one end of the island and go to the other. It's not like a Puerto Rico or a DR where you're on one landmass. Every part is on a different place. And so it's really important to orient yourself and understand where you're staying, because it might seem like, oh yeah, we're staying over here, but you need to take 2 boats, a hop, jump, and a skip just to get back to the main island.
And you only have but so much time, and you don't want it to get eaten away by the logistics of getting back and forth. And I really think if you want total privacy, when we talk about the Ks of bed saying you got a K, you need a boat, I think Pine Cay is an amazing suggestion.
Yeah.
We also have Parrot Cay. And for me, Amon's, like, I'm obsessed with all of them. And that's like a global franchise. And the fact that they have one in Turks is absolutely amazing.
Oh, yeah. Amenyara, chef's kiss. We've all seen the Kardashians go there. Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber, Kendall Jenner, Brad Pitt. Like, everyone has been to the Amenyara. We've all seen the Instagram pics. We know it's amazing, but it's a little out of the way. It's not like one of those places where you're gonna stay and then just be able to just walk into town and go out to eat. Like, you're in a more secluded area. And it's the same for Parrot Cay. There's an excellent, when I say excellent hotel. It's called Como Parrot Cay. Como is also a very high-end luxury hotel brand. They have a couple they really, really specialize in like the secluded private island type of vibe. That's in Parrot Cay. Again, super exclusive, amazing, but you're going to be out of the way. These hotels and these destinations, Parrot Cay, Pine Cay, this is where you're going to be when you want that ultimate under the radar privacy in your own world.
You just want to relax.
Vibes. Everything is at your fingertips and you really don't plan on leaving the resort that much. That's where you should stay. But again, if convenience, access to restaurants, and more access to some of the activities that are in Turks, like on the main island, you really want to stay in Grace Bay.
Grace Bay.
Yeah,
and
definitely
say
Grace Bay.
You're traveling solo and you just want things that are more convenient, easy. There's nothing wrong with staying at the Ritz-Carlton, okay? I think you'll be, like Fed was saying, closer to excursions. It'll be easier to navigate. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with trying to learn the land of every part of an island that has over 40 sections. That's a lot to do. And I think if you're also traveling solo, you definitely want a driver that will be with you for the whole entire trip. I know some people debate yes or no with that, but I think for me, knowing that if you go out late at night, you have someone that's going to be waiting there for you. You have someone that may also your advisor who's there to answer questions. It's very, very ideal. And in my opinion, I travel solo a lot. And for my safety, it's very important that I have someone that's on the ground that could help me.
And listen, if you are confident and you feel like you can drive on the other side of the road, rent a car. We're not saying you can't do that. But don't go to Turks expecting to open up the Uber app and call an Uber. There's no Uber. There's no Uber.
There's not
taxis.
Even a local.
Yeah, there's no local taxi app. It's just old school taxi cabs that you have to call. And, you know, it's not a massive country, so it's not like there's a surplus of cabs just waiting, taxis to take you everywhere. And they're quite expensive, and you pay per person actually in cabs in Turks and Caicos, or taxis in Turks and Caicos. You don't pay like for the route. They'll give you a price, and that's the price for each person in the car. And so the cost can add up. And there's really no other alternative. So keep that in mind, because that's what adds to the cost. But you know what? I want to give you guys, for people who want to go and your pockets are semi set up, but you're not on Drake or
Or
Beyonce.
you're saving, like you're really saving for this trip.
There are some parts of Turks that actually do have a more local culture and a laid back vibe. You want to look at Blue Hills or Turtle Cove. Those are two parts of Turks that are more of the non-touristy side. That's where you're really going to get that actual island culture, that laid back, what you think of when you think of the Caribbean, minus the yachts and the celebrities. You're going to be in town. So Cockburn Town, Cockburn's actually the capital. It feels like you're stepping back in time. There's some secluded local beaches. You're going to have those authentic local restaurants, the authentic seafood spots, the more relaxed atmospheres. You're going to get those sunsets, the beaches, the island vibe, the diving, the snorkeling, and there's fewer luxury accommodations. So you'll be able to get something in a bit of a better price point. I'm not saying it's cheap. Don't quote me. I never said it was cheap.
The local travel is still expensive in a place like Turks.
Right. Again, you're still in Turks, but you're not paying Ritz-Carlton, St. Regis. You're not paying Amman prices either. Yeah. You're more in like the non-touristy side. So I think that'll be a place where you can maybe get a little bit more value. There's less luxury accommodations. So if you want to see the real side of Turks, not the glitz and glam, those are two areas that I would say you could hit.
I'm always a fan of balance. Like if you want to do a couple nights on the more local side and then on the more luxury side, maybe towards the end of the trip or beginning, depending on what you want to do. I love that because I think you can go and say, a lot of people, this may be like an unpopular opinion, but a lot of people will say luxury is kind of the same no matter where you go. I don't believe that. Some people do believe that. And if you do, then you can do both and you can mix it up and you can kind of see the unique atmosphere and energy of Turk. Definitely. And you can have fritters. Anyone that knows me, I go to a Caribbean island, I need fritters as soon as I land. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, fritters. I'm just obsessed with them. So.
And you want to get it local. You want to be with the locals. Yes. I think something that I struggle with a lot when it comes to luxury travel and people are on the higher end budget, where if you're, correct me if I'm wrong, this is my opinion, I'm sticking to it. Y'all can cancel me in the comments.
Stand on business.
I'm going to stand on business with this one. If you're going to a Caribbean island or anywhere in the world for that matter, and you're annoyed or feel a way about seeing locals on your beaches, like, why are you there?
I believe in that as well. I think we both look at travel as a way to just understand other people's way of life, where other people just look at it as a break from their day to day.
Yeah.
And they're so focused on the water is so blue,
right?
The sand is so smooth, and there are actually human beings there
that live there. Okay? That's their home.
And it's like partying with locals, just hearing of their stories, and it's not even a thing of like charity. Like that's not how I think about it at all, because there are locals on these islands that have more money than me.
Yeah.
But there's a value to it. And those are the parts of my trip that I never forget. So the fact that there are people out there that want to be ignorant to the fact that there's just culture at your fingertips, I don't get it.
Yeah, what's the point of going, right? Like that's like going to New York and not wanting to run into a New Yorker. Like, why are you in Turks and Caicos if you don't want to interact with the locals on the island? They live there. You can learn from them. I think that cultural exchange of just knowing what someone else's life is like. What is it like to live in a vacation destination? What types of foods do the locals eat? Like, what do they have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Because they're not eating the breakfast buffet or the breakfast menu restaurant.
They're not eating fritters 24/7 like I do.
It's really important to interact with them. So I think coming out of that almost, and I hate to say it, but kind of like colonizing mindset of going on a vacation but not wanting to be bothered by the locals. Like, I really want people to really get out of that mindset, because you're going to be around them. And a lot of this mentality is what's also affecting their day-to-day life, because as more of these luxury developments come up, they're getting less and less access to their home. Like, imagine living in Miami and not being able to go to the beach in Miami, or living in Jersey and not being able to go to the Jersey Shore because the entire beach is just taken up by these luxury properties that have blocked off their beach as private property. It's really unfortunate and it's unfair. And so any opportunity you get to go to some of these local places and support the local restaurants, the local businesses, and just meet and
have conversations.
Yeah, have conversations with the locals. Yeah. Do it and learn from them.
They're always so interested, and it's not just the thing we're asking them of their day to day. They're so interested in ours as well. And I remember, where was I? I think it was Portugal, and there was a man. We sat there for like 2 hours, and like he was telling me his dreams and what he wanted to do, and I was telling him mine. And there's just so many similarities between us, and it's really. What I find is when you go to a place that's more laid back and they're not so worried about the rushing and the hustle and the money, they just have such a beautiful mindset and perspective of things that I don't even think about day to day because I'm just so worried about 9 to 5 or whatever it is I'm worried about. And I think people are just missing out on that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Can't force people.
No, we're not here to force you. Do you, boo? But I think for me, when I think about going to a destination like Turks, the rich side of the island is the local side because that's what's rich in culture, in history, in people, in food. Like, it's not just about yachting and catching Drake and seeing Beyoncé and all the fancy restaurants. Enjoy that too, don't get me wrong. But again, really immersing yourself in what the island truly has to offer. I think that brings me to my next point, which is it worth going to Grand Turks? Remember, Turks and Caicos is not one island. It's a 40-island archipelago. And so you have the island of Grand Turk, which isn't where Provincialis is or where Grace Bay and all the other places that we talked about. So is it worth going for a day trip? I think definitely.
I think so.
It's a totally different vibe than the rest of the other places that we mentioned. It's super historic. It's more laid back. And if you love to swim and you really care about that blue water, the diving is some of the best in the world.
Right. I'm no diver, but I love to swim. And I just love going to a place when you said like aged, like the vibe of it overall is aged. I love going somewhere where I feel like I'm in another timeline and I'm just away from like 2025 or just like things that are too modern. So I definitely think it's worth it to just take a break from the modern luxury and learn more about the history of the island.
Yeah, that's actually where the Turks and Caicos National Museum is. And so if you really want to learn about the island's history, because again, like most of the Caribbean, it was colonized. And so understanding the history, I mean, it's still to this day a British protectorate. And so understanding what the life was like before they came and what the local or indigenous population was there and just how the island's transformed over the past couple of 100 years. And then again, the diving, scuba diving at the Grand Turk Wall is, I mean, you're talking about a 7,000 foot underwater drop off. Like, it's a diver's dream. If you don't have your diver's license yet,
don't do it.
Go get it, please.
Right.
Please do it.
And before then, don't do it. Before you get your license, don't do it. And it's also close to shore, which is very unique for how deep it is.
Yeah, so. It's super deep. And then you also have like the wild stingrays that you can swim with at Gibbs Cay, sorry. It's really just a more local, less polished version. So I think Grand Turk is definitely an absolute visit. If you have the time, definitely go to Grand Turk.
And now I'm going to go on the topic. I know a lot of people go to Grand Turks for group trips. We were just talking about villas and why villas are preferred with a group. But I think we need to talk about group trip etiquette because it's something that we've seen a lot on social media. Group trips gone wrong. Like, I've been through it before.
Preach.
So it's a thing of when you want to go on a trip with a group of friends, what are the very first things that you need to consider before pressing book?
Well, I think the first thing is that everybody has a similar expectation of what they're looking to get out of that trip. I think it's really important for everybody to be on the same page of why they're going to that destination, understanding the destination, how much it's going to cost, and that everybody's on board with the experience that you're about to plan. Because coming in with mixed expectations is a recipe for disaster. That's what's going to have y'all coming home with the TikTok think pieces about and dragging your friends about how this person did this and this person didn't pay. And everybody needs to be on the same page before you even think about going on the trip. Setting that expectation in the beginning is essential.
And I see a lot of like dynamic duos. It's so cute of like one is a planner. I'm always a planner of the duo. And then one is kind of just more laid back, pays for everything, is just there. I think if you have a group of more than 3, everyone needs a role.
Yes.
Like everyone, there has to be a planner. There has to be someone that's going to download Splitwise on their phone to make sure all the financials are together.
Yep.
There needs to be someone who logistics planning, but then also like figuring out the small details of like, will we really fill this spot? Is this really for everyone? Communication. There has to be someone who's sending the text messages and the updates.
The wrangler.
I don't want to imagine how like the horror stories we see, like how the trip was planned in the first place. It was probably just like destination, everyone's in chat getting all excited. No one's figuring out like how much this would cost, when we're going, when we would need the money by then. And it's a lot of like common sense mistakes. Again, we're advisors, so we can't judge people too much. Our brains are wired differently. I think you just need to be very careful and just know that you cannot travel with everyone. And that's not a disrespect to any of your friends. Absolutely that you not. Deem as I can't travel with them. It's better if you just stick to with your travel friends, or I'm always an advocate for solo travel, but I think there has to be more group trip etiquette out there. I can't keep seeing friendships being broken over
my gosh, the think pieces, the TikToks. I mean, it's so much. And I love that you talked about this where you're like, everybody needs a role. If you're going on a group trip, everybody needs a job. You get a job. You get a job.
Everybody get a job.
If you're somebody who has no shame, you need to be the one taking pictures of the receipt, getting your calculator out and calculating and sending the Zelle request. If you have a friend who's there for the vibes, they're the photographer. They need to have the playlist on deck.
Okay.
They need to make sure the vibes are right, the music's bumping. It's okay. Like, play to everyone's strengths. That's the whole point, right? You have a diverse group of friends, and so everybody's going to have their strength. Play to that to make sure that everybody feels like they participated in the trip, that they made it's special in their own way, and that nobody feels like all the responsibilities on them and they have to get everything done and nobody's responding to the group chat. Like, I am queen at people in the group chat. If you're the planner or the wrangler of the group,
you have to be direct. Be direct.
Call
with
people.
Be very transparent, or it could just end in absolute mess. And another thing I've learned, when you send a destination, a time to a whole group of people, and they're excited, everyone's going to say yes. What I've done in the past has been successful. I'll text everyone on the side. I'm thinking about this. What do you think? What's the pockets looking like? Like, what do you think? And then I feel like they're more comfortable telling me directly than a whole group of 10 people. Right now is not the time. And then the folks that are like, vote yes, then I put them in a group chat versus like putting everyone in a group chat, putting the idea out there. Of course, people are going to say yes.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's definitely helped.
I mean, you're Miss Group Travel, and so I listen to every word that you say, like, intently, because I am not a group trip girly. I've been burned so bad. And
trust me, I have as well.
I know, and I'm so glad now. Like, I have somebody that I have a locked-in travel partner. I have a locked-in travel partner for life, which does make things a little easier. But I think in order for us to really equip you with understanding, I think it's time for a good reality check. Let's get into the reality check so people can really understand, like, what are the dollars really looking like? What's the cost breakdown of this trip? So let's talk about it.
So what I'll say, I think we hinted to, I'll do the lowest one first. It is $35 to leave the island, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's starting at the lowest cost. If we go into the hotels that we introduced in the beginning, rather it be Ritz-Carlton or the smaller clubs that are in Grace Bay, those are running around $600 to $800 a night.
And that's on the low end. I mean, I really think the average nightly rate for a high-end hotel, like if you're really trying to go on a luxury trip and you're staying at a hotel, average about $1,200 a night. Yeah, definitely $1,200 a night. Now, what about the private villas? That's
the big bill. It's around lowest $5,000.
Yeah,
$5,000 a night for villas for a group. Depending on which group you're going with, that could be workable. But just know, because you're getting private chef, you're getting staff, like you're getting, again, a local guide, and most of the people there are so nice and so willing to help. So I think it's worth it. But yeah.
I would say, and then let's talk about the food. If you're staying at a villa, a lot of your meals will be covered because you're eating in the villa with the private chef who's planning out all of your meals and snacks, and all of that would be included in the price. If you're leaving your resort or your hotel and going to a nice restaurant, yeah, that's going to set you back about $100 to $200 per person, and that's before any alcohol or wine or anything. So
and those are the basics.
Yeah.
You want some surf and turf?
Yeah.
It's going to be more than that. Okay?
Definitely. And then again, like we said, when you're talking about the taxis and the private drivers, remember you're really looking at around, depending on how far you're going, but for private rides, it's about $50 to $75 per ride, and that really adds up quickly. So getting a private driver or at least renting your own car definitely helps. And then, like we said in the beginning, there's a mandatory 12% government tax on top of a 10% service charge on everything. So just anything you're looking at, any meal you're having, add 22% to that, because it adds up. And then, it takes a $500 meal to you're adding an extra 110 to that. So be mindful.
No surprises when the bill comes. And again, make sure you download Splitwise. Splitwise sponsor this episode, because what you don't want to do is someone is charging everything onto their card the whole entire trip. And then at the end of it, now you're trying to pull up the receipts and do the math. Like, make sure you prepare ahead of time and figure out how those bills are going to be covered.
Definitely. I think it's time to get into some of the most Googled questions about Turks.
Definitely, yeah. So first question, do I need a passport to go to Turks and Caicos?
Turks and Caicos is not a part of the United States, unfortunately. And so if you're a U.S. citizen, yes, you need a passport. If you are not a citizen of the U.K., because Turks is a British protectorate, yes, you need a passport. For U.S. citizens, you don't need a visa if you're staying under 90 days. So as long as your passport's valid and it has 6 months left on it, you just need to bring your passport. But yes, you need it.
And if you're staying over 90 days, I need your wallet.
Yeah. What do you do? What do you do for work?
What do you do? Second question, what's the best time to visit?
Ooh, that's a big one, because we know the Caribbean with hurricane season.
Okay, it will completely change your experience. And it says December to April are the best times. The weather is just absolutely perfect. Who doesn't want to start off the new year or end the year in Turks? So
100%. I spent my new year in the Caribbean, and it really did rewire my brain. I'm not joking. So definitely think about maybe taking your Christmas trip, that holiday season, or just getting away from some of the winter blues. I know it's been cold, frigid.
I'm out of here in a week. I can't wait.
Winter is wintering. Yeah, so your winter getaway is definitely going to be there. After April, shoulder season is fine too. If you want to get some of the lower prices where the weather might still be a little good, you might be able to get late April, early May, or maybe like November around Thanksgiving, early December, before the high season really kicks off. I think those shoulder months, you might be able to get a little bit of a better pricing, less crowds. So I think that's probably another good tip for folks if they want to save a little bit of money or be a little bit away from the big crowds. And the high season is to go on that shoulder, November to maybe late April, early May.
Just don't fall for the hurricane season or rainy season deals.
It's cheap for a reason.
It's cheap for a reason, and it will ruin your experience. And nowadays with weather, you just don't want to risk it. So shoulder season is the best.
Definitely.
Okay, so I'm part Bahamian, so I'm going to be careful how I say this question.
Bahamian comfort.
But is Turks and Caicos better than Bahamas?
You tell me. No. You take the stand on business. Stand on business.
If you want luxury and more privacy, yes, I guess. But if you want more nightlife, then Bahamas is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. I think I went to the Bahamas very recently in November, and I would say for sure Bahamas definitely has a nightlife. They have the casinos. There's actually casinos too in Turks, but it's just a different vibe. I think there's definitely more of a nightlife vibe in Bahamas or St. Bart's, some of these other Caribbean islands. Turks is not a party island. They don't want to become a party island. Don't come and bring your ruckus to Turks, because that's not their brand. It's not their vibe. So it's just, knowing what you're looking for from your Caribbean destination. if that's nightlife is what you're looking for,
go to Bahamas.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the hotels own private islands within Bahamas, and they host their own nightlife as well. So that's where to go.
For sure.
And how do I get around? We touched on this, but how do I get around?
No Uber, no Lyft. You need a rental car, private driver. Don't say we didn't warn you. Listen, it's on you. Just know what you're getting yourself into.
I'm going to freestyle on this one. How do I find Drake?
How do you find Drake? Listen, first of all, you can't miss that private plane. So if you touch down and you see his OVO plane, he's there. I think there's a lot of the in Grace Bay, you'll probably find him. A lot of the marinas, the nice restaurants, I think the high-end resorts, if you have it to splurge and stay there, that's your best bet to seeing Drake or any celebrity for that matter. You need to have the high and deep pockets to be able to afford some of the resorts where they're staying. But that's
just pull up, show up, see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find the OVO crew.
You'll find it.
Oh man. So I think that's it. So we've covered a lot today, from the celebrity influence to the hidden cost of where to stay. And we know it's a lot to take in. I think that we've given you the essentials you need before booking that trip.
It's definitely worth the splurge. Even if it's a trip you have to save for, it's like your annual trip, you should definitely do it. I think we all live very busy lives. And if you just want to go to the Caribbean, break away, no one can find you for about a week or two, it's definitely the place to go.
Definitely. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or planning a family getaway or just need to escape, like really Turks is that place where you can have that tailored experience in exactly how your preference is and exactly according to your high budget. But yeah, Turks isn't just a vacation. It's really a life-changing experience. I think it's worth it for everyone to go.
Agreed.
All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll catch you in the next episode.